Hello, everyone, and welcome to Bookercast, the podcast where books come to life.
And I'm so excited to dive into another amazing story with all of you.
Whether you're a bookworm or just love a good story, this is the place for you.
Every episode, we explore incredible books, talk about their stories and characters, and share insights that'll make you fall in love with reading all over again.
All right, let's not keep you waiting any longer. Get comfortable, and let's jump right into it.
Sounds good.
All right, folks, get ready to dive deep as we explore Ray Bradbury's Fahrenheit 451.
Yeah, such a classic, right?
It really is. I mean, the idea of firemen setting fires instead of putting them out, it just grabs you.
It's definitely a powerful image, and it speaks to those deeper themes Bradbury was exploring, like censorship and conformity.
And of course, we have to talk about Guy Montag, the fireman at the heart of the story.
Oh, absolutely.
He really goes on a journey, right? Starting out as this seemingly content book burner, and then, well, things change.
They definitely do.
But before we get into all that, I want to hear your take on this. Fahrenheit 451 is often placed alongside other famous dystopian novels like 1984 and Brave New World.
Right.
But what makes it stand out in that crowded field?
Well, in those other books, the oppression often comes from this, very obvious, almost heavy-handed government. But in Fahrenheit 451, it's much more subtle. I mean, the people are almost complicit in their own suppression.
Really? How so?
They've come to embrace ignorance. It's like they've traded critical thinking for this shallow sense of happiness.
Wow, so it's like a warning about the dangers of choosing comfort over truth then.
Exactly.
And I feel like technology plays a huge role in that. Bradbury really paints this picture of how technology can be used to distract us, keeping us entertained and passive.
Absolutely. Like those parlor families, those giant interactive TV walls that just dominate people's lives.
Oh, yeah, those are unsettling.
They are, aren't they? It's like they're designed to provide this constant stream of, shallow entertainment.
It's a little too close to home, right? I mean, think about our own obsession with screens and social media.
It really does make you think, doesn't it?
It does. And then there are those seashells, too, the little radios everyone's always wearing.
Oh, right.
Really filling their ears with this constant noise, further isolating them from each other and the real world.
Yeah, it's like they're choosing to drown out anything that might, make them think or feel too deeply.
So it's not that technology itself is inherently bad, but it's how it can be misused to control us.
Exactly. It's about recognizing that potential for manipulation.
Absolutely. And in Fahrenheit 451, the mere act of thinking, of having your own ideas, is seen as a threat. That's where the firemen come in.
Right, burning books instead of saving them.
We meet Montag as he's, going about his job, seemingly satisfied with this life of burning. What happens to change that for him? What shakes him out of that complacency?
Well, it's his encounter with Clarice McClellan, this young woman who's just full of life and curiosity.
Clarice, she's such a breath of fresh air in this, stifling world.
She really is, and she represents everything that's missing in Montag's life. Curiosity, independent thought, a genuine connection with the world around her.
She almost seems too good to be true, like a symbol of everything that's been lost.
Yeah, I can see that. But she also serves as this powerful reminder that even in the most oppressive environments, the human spirit can still yearn for knowledge and connection.
And she plants those seeds of doubt in Montag's mind, doesn't she?
Yeah.
Doesn't start to question everything he's been taught to believe.
Exactly. And those seeds, they just keep growing as Montag experiences more and more things that challenge his worldview.
Like when he witnesses that old woman choosing to die with her books rather than live without them.
Right. Such a powerful moment.
I mean, it really shows how deeply some people value knowledge and freedom, even to the point of sacrificing their lives for it.
It's a stark contrast to the apathy and ignorance that's become so prevalent in their society.
It is. And speaking of powerful, Bradbury's use of imagery, particularly fire, really stands out.
Oh, yeah. The fire imagery is so striking.
It is both destructive and transformative, right?
Absolutely. At first, fire represents the destruction of knowledge, the blind obedience of the firemen. But for Montag, it eventually comes to symbolize something else entirely, like a purging of the old ways of thinking.
So it's like he's literally burning down his old life to make way for something new.
Exactly. And that transformation is fueled by his growing desire for knowledge.
He starts hiding books, trying to understand this world that's been hidden from him.
Right. And he even tries to share what he's learned with his wife, Mildred, and her friends.
But that doesn't go so well, does it?
No, not at all. Mildred and her friends, they're so deeply entrenched in that shallow world of entertainment that they're terrified of anything that requires real thought or emotion.
It's like they become numb to anything beyond the surface level.
Right. And their reaction to the book, their fear and anger, it just highlights the power of censorship to control people's minds, to make them afraid of their own thoughts.
So Montag is increasingly isolated. His wife doesn't understand him. His colleagues are suspicious, and he's trapped in this culture of ignorance. What does he do? Where does he turn for help?
Well, he ends up seeking out Professor Faber, this former English professor who's been kind of living on the fringes of society, clinging to his love of books.
Faber. He becomes sort of a mentor for Montag, right?
Right.
Guiding him through this whole new world of forbidden knowledge.
Yeah, exactly. And Faber understands that it's not just about reading. He argues that there are these three crucial elements that are missing from their society.
I'm intrigued. What are those?
So he says they need, let me think, quality information, of course, but also the leisure to actually digest it, and then most importantly, the freedom to act upon it.
That's fascinating. It's like knowledge without the ability to apply it is almost meaningless.
Exactly. It's like, what's the point if you can't do anything with it,
Yeah, I see what you mean. And Faber sees potential in Montag, right? Like he could be this catalyst for change.
Yeah, definitely. And to help him along, Faber gives Montag this tiny two-way radio to wear so they can communicate secretly.
Oh, right.
It's this lifeline for Montag, a way to connect with someone who actually understands him.
It's pretty risky, though. I mean, remember the mechanical hound? That thing is terrifying.
Oh, absolutely. And it's on Montag's trail now, representing this constant threat of surveillance,
Yeah, like Big Brother is always watching, listening.
Exactly. It's a reminder that even your thoughts aren't safe in this society.
So Montag's stuck between this pull towards knowledge and this fear of being caught. What happens next? What pushes him over the edge?
Well, things kind of come to a head when Montag is ordered to burn his own house down.
What? No way!
Yeah, it's on Captain Beatty's orders, his fire chief.
Wow, that's intense.
It is. And in this moment of just like pure desperation and rage, Montag turns the flamethrower on Beatty.
He kills him.
He does.
So there's no going back now.
No, not at all. He's a fugitive running for his life.
It's like this whole other level of the story now.
Yeah.
You've got Montag on the run, the mechanical hound chasing him, and oh yeah, there's a war going on in the background.
Yeah, it's getting pretty crazy, but it's also, incredibly symbolic. Like Montag's journey, it represents this struggle for freedom, for knowledge, against all odds.
It really does. And the river he escapes through, that's not just any ordinary river, right?
Oh, no, definitely not. It's like a symbol of purification, this washing away of his old life.
Like a baptism into a new way of being.
Exactly. And on the other side of the river, he finds the book people.
The book people. That part of the story is always so hopeful to me.
Me too.
Yeah.
It's like, despite everything, there's still this community of people who value knowledge.
And they dedicated themselves to preserving it, right? Like literally memorizing entire books.
Yeah, they become these like living libraries,
It's amazing. It really challenges our assumptions about what it means to be educated.
Definitely, they're not academics or anything, just everyday people who've decided to, keep the flame of knowledge alive.
And they welcome Montag into their fold, give him this sense of belonging.
Yeah, it's like finding your tribe after being lost for so long.
It's beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like they represent this possibility of, rebuilding, of creating a better future.
Exactly. It's that hope for a society that values knowledge and individual expression.
But then, just when you think things are looking up, the war escalates.
Right.
The city gets destroyed.
Yeah, it happens so suddenly. It's this stark reminder of how fragile their world is.
It's like all that hope, all that progress just wiped out in an instant.
It's tragic. And it's also, this warning about the dangers of technology and apathy. Like, if we're not careful, if we don't stay vigilant, this could be our future, too.
Yeah, that's a sobering thought. So what happens to Montag and the book people? Do they survive the blast?
They do. And they set out on this journey to, rebuild, to share the knowledge they carry and help create a new world from the ashes of the old.
That's a powerful image. Like the phoenix rising.
Exactly. Yeah, it is kind of like that, isn't it? The phoenix rising from the ashes.
A fitting symbol for sure, especially given all the fire imagery throughout the book.
Oh, yeah, definitely. And it's not just the imagery. Bradbury's language is just so So vivid.
It really is.
Yeah.
It's like he's using language to fight back against the very forces of censorship he's writing about.
Absolutely. His prose is so rich, full of metaphors, these really evocative descriptions, and just some incredibly thought-provoking quotes.
It makes you think about the power of language, right? I mean, in a world where books are outlawed, where words themselves are seen as dangerous, Bradbury's writing is like this act of defiance.
It is, and it really brings the story to life, makes you feel the weight of the ideas he's exploring.
Yeah, like when he describes the fire or the mechanical hound, or even just the way Clarisse talks about the world, the rain or the taste of strawberries.
It's like he's making you experience those things for the first time.
Exactly. So we've talked about the story, the characters, the themes, but what makes Fahrenheit 451 such an enduring work of literature? I mean, why do you think it still resonates with readers today, all these years later?
Well, I think it's because it taps into these really timeless human anxieties, like the fear of losing our individuality, the dangers of blindly conforming, and of course the power of knowledge.
Yeah, it's like a cautionary tale that transcends its specific historical context.
Exactly. And in today's world, with social media and the 24/7 news cycle and all this pressure to conform to certain ideologies, it feels more relevant than ever.
It does, doesn't it? It's like Bradbury is holding up a mirror to our own society, asking us to consider how we might be complicit in our own intellectual suppression.
Right. We have to be willing to question the information we're given, to value different perspectives, and to fight for intellectual freedom.
And to be mindful of how technology can be used to distract us, manipulate us.
Absolutely. We have to be aware of those forces, those attempts to control our thoughts and actions.
So as we wrap up our deep dive into Fahrenheit 451, what's the one thing you really hope our listeners take away from this conversation?
Well, I'd say it's the importance of never losing that sense of curiosity, that hunger for knowledge.
To keep asking questions, keep searching for answers.
Exactly. And to remember that stories, ideas, these things have the power to change us, to connect us, to inspire us.
They can help us make sense of the world, right?
Yeah.
Help us imagine a better future.
And maybe even build that future. Who knows?
Oh, yeah, who knows? And to our listener out there, we'll leave you with this question to ponder. If books were outlawed, which book would you risk everything to save, and why? Think about it. What stories, what ideas are essential to who you are?
Yeah, let that simmer.
Thanks for joining us on this fiery exploration of Fahrenheit 451. Keep those minds burning bright, and we'll see you on our next deep dive.
And that's a wrap for today's episode of BookerCast. We hope you enjoyed diving into it as much as we did. Thank you so much for spending your time with us. Your support means the world, and we can't wait to hear your thoughts on this episode.
Don't forget to subscribe, hit that like button, and share this episode with your fellow book lovers. And let us know your thoughts in the comments below. We love hearing from you. See you in the next deep dive. Bye for now, and happy reading.